another episode of the Inquisitive Mamba podcast. This is episode 118. I hope everyone is having a great day, great night, wherever you are around the world. I am your host, Joseph Monroe, joined by my co-host, Max Adams. Max, it's great to see you. How was your weekend?
Great to see you, Joe. It was a fantastic time.
I had a great weekend.
First football weekend.
I know, an electric NFL week one. I know your Bengals didn't do too hot, but overall good football weekend.
Yeah, don't get me started on the Bengals.
Not a lot went on in college football from Saturday. I mean, other than the Michigan-Texas game, which I told you Michigan was going to get blown out.
Lagway.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like a team that's ranked who actually is relevant. They matter. I mean, we can give Lagway all this praise for playing Samford, but I'm talking about the real teams. Georgia dominated. Alabama, they were in a good game with USF, but they turned on the Jets and they ended up winning 42-16.
That was crazy. I mean, that was a good watch up until the end.
You and I were arguing. We were watching the game. Ryan Williams should be in high school, even though he's on Alabama. He's 17 years old.
Crazy.
I mean, I can't believe it.
If I got put out on a field against Alabama football players when I was 17 years old,
17.
I would rather die than go to the heaven. 17. Yeah, 17 years old.
I can't believe it. Do you like my shirt?
I'd piss myself.
Do you like my shirt? I knew you would. I wore this shirt just for this episode. It came in just today. I came in. Fanatics.
You're the world's biggest Caitlin Clark fan.
I'm in a Caitlin Clark community now on X.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I post in there. I post the videos. I tweet with them. I love it. Yeah, I follow
Caitlin Clark. Do you watch her games? Do you watch the Fever games?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We play the Vegas Aces tomorrow night. It'll be a big game.
Are you gonna tune in?
Of course. Why wouldn't I?
Really?
Yes. I watch the WNBA Indiana Fever games.
That's crazy.
I can tell you I can name at least 5 players on the Fever.
That's insane.
Yeah, I love the WNBA even more now because of Caitlin Clark. But anyways, let's get back to football here. Great football weekend overall. How are you feeling about your Bengals playing the Chiefs this weekend?
I mean, usually we have good games.
Mm-hmm.
After last week's performance, I would say what really killed us in the Patriots game is mistakes, fumbles, missed catches. That stuff is going to work itself out through the season, hopefully. So I didn't see anything if we didn't have those fumbles, we won the game, So,
yeah, that's true. And no T. Higgins didn't play either.
No T. Higgins. So
he's supposed to not play this week either.
So I think we're probably going to get steamrolled by the Chiefs, but I'm not it's better than,
mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow wasn't playing horribly.
No,
we could definitely turn it around
mm-hmm.
if we stop getting these mistakes. Those fumbles don't happen every game.
No,
if they do, then you have a real problem. But if we can stop those fumbles from happening, I think we have a much better chance. The Chiefs, so we always put up a good game against the Chiefs. I think it's going to be tough to win, but I hope for at least a good game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it as well. I think it'll be a good game as well. The only concern I have with the Bengals is their running back room is not very deep. Zach Moss and Chase Brown, I'm not too high on those two guys there. I know they had to trade away Joe Mixon because you couldn't afford to keep him, but that's the only thing that I'm a little concerned about. It's you don't really have a true bell cow guy that's going to give you – I mean, it's only week one. I totally get it. But from what I've seen so far – I'm still
Chase Brown's a dog, Joe.
Yeah, I know,
Don't
but you didn't.
On Chase Brown.
I'm not there yet. I mean, we got to see. But the Bengals' offensive line still isn't very good. I still don't understand that. That's another concern, which I don't get because you paid Orlando Brown. There's other guys on the offensive line as well, so I don't know. And they drafted the kid from, was it Georgia this past year? The big guy? I can't remember his name, but I don't even know if he's starting. I know it's Trent Brown.
Alabama.
No, I think it's. I'm pretty sure it's Georgia. Anyways, but it'd be a good game this upcoming week here. But I'm excited. I did not expect the Patriots to win that game, not even in the slightest. It's kind of funny. Gerard Mayo roasted Jacoby Brissett and said he's the slowest black QB in the league. He's like, I never expected Jacoby to do that in week one, basically, but he did. And I don't know. I mean, it's weird because let's say the Patriots start off, they go 2-0 and they beat the Seahawks this upcoming Sunday in Foxborough. And Jacoby Brissett doesn't play good. You're not going to go to Drake May because you're winning, right? The defense is doing its part. But you're off. I mean, I don't know. They were in a tight game there with the Bengals at the end. I thought they were going to blow it. I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to blow this game. But I think we'll see Drake May eventually, maybe some point through this season. But if they keep winning, you're not going to see him. I mean, there's no way. Right, exactly. So that's the thing. But the Patriots defense play Seahawks this upcoming Sunday. So in Foxborough,
just have a crazy good defense that we didn't see coming.
I saw it coming. I mean, I saw it definitely top 10 for sure. I mean, their defense was good last year. They just didn't have any offense. But anyways, I'm looking forward to this upcoming week here with football. I mean, there's some good games here, but we're going to stick here on week 1. We got to talk about Tom Brady's broadcasting debut. You and I were talking about that over text. He was getting roasted all along the internet, from the tops to the bottoms. Everyone was yelling Brady was horrible. He has no flavor. What did you think of Tom Brady's debut? What would you rate it out of 1 to 10? I'll give you mine, but I want to hear yours.
He was just awkward,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he didn't live up to the hype, but why was there so much hype to begin with? Like, he's going to have some good insight, but he's never done color commentary ever before.
Right.
So, I mean, there's going to be some rust. So I think he was awkward, but I don't think it's irreparable.
It's week 1, and you're calling a huge game with the Cowboys and the Browns. But the only thing too is you got to be like Skip Bayless did say this, and he's absolutely right. You got to be like Psycho Tom at some point on the mic or on the headset. You got to show some enthusiasm. There's a Brandon Aubrey kick before the half, a 66-yarder, and Tom's like, "Oh, here comes Brandon Aubrey coming out for the 66-yarder." And like,
did he make it?
There's no. So no, he didn't actually ended up having. He wasn't going to kick. He was supposed to kick the 66-yarder, but what happened was Mike McCarthy forgot to call a timeout, so they put delay game, and then he went out for the 71-yarder. So no, he didn't. He ended up just kicking a 71-yarder. But Brady had no enthusiasm at all. Even Scott Hansen said it. So if I were to rate Tom Brady's broadcasting debut, I'd probably give him a 5 out of 10 because obviously he knows the game. He knows what's going to happen. He understands the play calling, but
that's probably what's hard about that. Yeah, is like it's hard to get him excited.
Yes, he's seen everything.
Level of excellence. He's such a high level of excellence.
It's a really good way to put it.
It's really hard for him to get excited about much. So,
but if there's one guy,
mundane plays, because every play that we think every play that we think looks spectacular, he's probably like, it. Oh, that guy missed a block. That guy, that was a broken play here, and that's gonna piss him off. So.
And that's true, and that's a really good point too. But I think like I said, he's got to show some more enthusiasm. But it's only week 1, and if there's a guy that's going to go back in the lab and practice his ass off, it's Tom Brady. I mean, that's a guy that was never talented coming out of college. He was never athletic like that. He worked with the system. He's going to go back into the lab with Fox Sports, and he's going to be practicing. So I'm not worried about Tom Brady. I think he's going to be just fine. But, of course, everyone's overreacting. But, when was the last time we were critiquing broadcasters? But it's Tom Brady. He's the GOAT. He's, perfection is all he has ever seen. So, but yeah, I'd probably give Brady a debut 5 out of 10. I'm looking forward to seeing his next game. But it's tough because Greg Olsen got the really short end of the stick, man. He was great. But that's the nature of the game, So
yeah, I mean, does Greg Olsen have a place anywhere else?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's still with Fox Sports, but he got promoted to like the B team type deal. So he's not
promoted. That's demoted.
Or demoted, excuse me. Demoted. He got demoted to the B team basically, but it's tough because he called the Super Bowl. He was calling the big games last year, and then Tom Brady comes into play and he gets
Joe, I have something I want to talk about.
Spill it.
Did you see Russell Wilson in shoulder pads
yes.
while being inactive?
Yes.
I hate Russell Wilson.
I know you do. I was gonna bring this up. I'm so glad you brought this up.
All he wants to do is be perceived as like this all-star teammate.
This God-fearing man.
He doesn't care about actually being a good guy. He just wants to be perceived as a good guy. Like, it is the biggest act, and it's so obvious. Like, his sole objective is to be perceived as this champion. And it's so clear. Like, how does anyone like him? He is the fakest person. It is like bad acting. It's like Friday Night Lights, dude. He thinks everything's a movie, and he knows the camera's on at all times, and he wants to be perceived as great. It's so embarrassing. I hate him.
I just don't understand why
now he's on the Steelers, shoulder pad.
He's wearing shoulder pads on the sideline.
Because he wants to be like a corny-ass good teammate. It's so cringe. It's like something out of a freaking Disney movie.
Yes.
He is the worst.
Dude. We haven't even. I was going to bring that up. I'm so glad you brought that up. He hasn't even played yet because he's the hamstring injury, or excuse me, the calf injury. So Justin Fields. But so now let's talk about this, right? Let's bring this into the conversation. If the Steelers keep winning and Justin Fields just does his part, Russell Wilson's going to be on the bench. And Russell Wilson was supposed to be the starter, but now he's probably if the Steelers continue to keep winning, I know it's week 1, and their defense, we know how good their defense is. There's no reason why you go back to Russell Wilson. Why? You can't just bring in Russell Wilson if Justin Fields is doing his part.
Contract like?
Oh, he only signed a 1-year deal.
Like big? How many?
I think it was. You can look. I think it's 1 year, $20 million. I don't remember the exact number. I don't think it's a big contract. I know it's a 1-year deal. You can look it up. Please look it up. But anyway, sticking here on Russell Wilson, I don't see him. What is the contract here? What is it? Tell me.
Hold on.
I know it's a 1-year deal.
I'm getting the Broncos contract for some reason.
Oh, did they?
1 year, $1.2 million.
My apologies. Yeah, I was way off. Okay, I knew it was a 1-year deal. Yeah.
With $1 million.
Yeah.
Dollar deal.
Mm-hmm. And I thought at first I thought it was in like the 10 million range, but yeah, no, absolutely. So
he's an MVP, yep. Right? He had an MVP season, didn't he?
Russell Wilson's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But the thing is here
sign a $1 million contract. I mean, obviously all the money that he's getting this year is the Broncos, right?
Yes, of course. Well, Russell Wilson's made his money. I think he's just trying to continue to stay afloat in the league. But I'm
just surprised that no team was willing to pay more than $1 million. That's like a vet min.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't. I mean, that's backup quarterbacks make more than that. Maybe because it's. He's been injured. He's got that rough stint in Denver for that really short time there. A lot of teams figured, hey, we don't. I'm surprised the Giants didn't even go after him. I'm shocked.
Maybe he knew he doesn't want money and he wanted to go to a contender. Like maybe he wants to be perceived as great, Joe.
Oh my, you love this.
He's got his money and he's like, I need to go win another Super Bowl so people don't disrespect me because I'm a fucking cornball.
This needs to be brought up. This is an actual conversation that needs to be brought up with Russell Wilson. If he shits the bed,
that's a bargain price for any backup.
I agree. If this is a question that needs to be brought up, or in this part here. If Russell Wilson doesn't do well in Pittsburgh, does he lose his Hall of Fame eligibility? I'm not saying eligible, but does he lose his credibility to be in the Hall of Fame? If he does really bad, yes, you won a Super Bowl in Seattle. Okay, let me rephrase this. Does Russell Wilson still become a first ballot Hall of Famer if he does really bad in Pittsburgh? That has to be brought up. It has to be. I don't care if you're a Super Bowl MVP with the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, no, he's not an MVP because Malcolm Smith won the Super Bowl MVP. He has one Super Bowl. Okay,
you did career. He has a league MVP, doesn't he?
He has one MVP, right? No, wait, does he have one? I don't think he does.
I think he does.
Does he have one? I don't think he has one. I don't think he does.
Hold on.
I don't think he does. No, right?
9-time Pro Bowler.
No.
Super Bowl champion.
Yes.
Walter Payton Man of the Year.
Yep. But no MVP. I don't see.
Second team All Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Bart Starr Award.
Nope.
No MVP.
No, I didn't think so because that was the main thing about Russell Wilson is Russell Wilson a first ballot Hall of Famer? If he doesn't do well in Pittsburgh, I don't think you can put Russell Wilson as a first ballot Hall of Famer.
With no MVP. Yeah,
with no MVP,
I don't think he does.
I don't think he'll get because they're gonna rip him to shreds.
He never even had a first team All Pro.
No, well, you got to think too. I mean, yeah, that's true, but there's been a lot of QB. I mean, Rodgers got those All Pros through all those years in the NFC when he was in Seattle. So you got to think of that. But I mean, listen, I'm not discrediting Russell Wilson, but if he doesn't do well in Pittsburgh, the question has to be asked: is Russell Wilson a first ballot Hall of Famer? So, anyways, enough of Russell Wilson. Let's talk about another quarterback who got overpaid. Dak Prescott. He got his $60 million, Max. Dak Prescott got his $60 million. Did you love this? You love the corny stuff with sports. Jerry Jones. I expect my quarterbacks to win Super Bowls after I pay them. You just came out and said Dak wasn't a priority to be paid, but now Dak paid $60 million. 4-year, $240 million deal, $231 million guaranteed. I guess it's just raining money in Dallas, Texas at this point. Everyone's just got to move there because there's no state income tax. You might as well just go move there. Hell, where is this money? Is Micah Parsons going to be paid now? How are you going to afford Micah Parsons? The Cowboys are going to be in salary cap hell.
I mean, they have the money.
Yeah, they do. But man, I mean, Dak Prescott, is he worth $60 million? Absolutely not. But this market, I don't.
Dude, did you see Zeke? Zeke looked like.
Yeah, he looked like a new Zeke.
He looked a lot better. He looked fat in New England. Like, he looked fat and slow. He looks a lot.
He looks a lot lighter, thin. Yeah, he did. Zeke out there for all the anytime bettors. Yeah, he scored a touchdown. Listen, we know what the Cowboys are. The Cowboys are going to go as far as Dak Prescott takes them. Their defense is really good. We know how good their defense is, but it's how far the Cowboys will go as Dak Prescott. That's how far they'll go, because that's the nature of it. Their defense is going to, because listen, I feel like their
quarterback and their coach being
Mike McCarthy. Yeah, yes, another situation. Clock management is terrible, awful. The thing about the NFL, I feel like right now, I know it's week 1, but this is how I feel. I feel like we're just rolling over from last year's playoffs. We know what teams are contenders, and we know what teams are kind of afloat. Chiefs are going to be there, of course. The Niners are going to be there, of course. The Lions, the Cowboys, and the Ravens. Those are my 5. I mean, that's not really a hot take, but it's just rolling over from the playoffs last year, where we kind of know, like last year early on, we're like, oh, like, are these teams going to be that good? We knew the Chiefs were obviously going to be there, but now we're kind of starting to see, and it sucks because, like, I want to see like a surprise team, and I hope a surprise team comes out of somewhere. But realistically, when you sit there, who's going to beat the Chiefs or the Niners? I really hope it's not another Chiefs-Niners Super Bowl.
What do you think about I saw this graphic that I thought was hilarious. There was a tweet that said, like, the Browns trading everything they own for Deshaun Watson and Baker Mayfield becoming a better quarterback than him.
I have it written.
The most Browns thing ever.
Yep, I have it right here. So let's bring that conversation up. Let's talk about Deshaun Watson versus Baker Mayfield, because the Browns went out, they paid all this money for Deshaun Watson, they let Baker Mayfield go, and I know the whole situation with Baker, and he didn't live up to the hype, and he didn't perform, but here's Baker Mayfield's quarterback stats compared to Deshaun Watson since 2022. Baker's at 6,496 passing yards, 18 interceptions, 44 touchdowns, 90.9 passer rating, 63.3 completion percentage, 1-1 in the playoffs. Deshaun Watson, 2,386 passing yards, 11 interceptions, 17 total touchdowns, 78.1 passer rating, 59.1 completion percentage, and 0-0 in the playoffs. Deshaun Watson might be the biggest flop signing in NFL history, because from what we've seen so far, he's not living up to this contract at all. And now the whole sexual assault allegations are coming out again from 2020, I think it was. And the NFL said that they're not going to put him on the exempt list. This is becoming a disaster for the Browns.
Yeah. Like
Baker,
he had some bad. Did you see his throws?
Yes,
Deshaun had some bad misses.
Yes. Now I know their offensive line isn't fully healthy because they were missing two starters, but still, you've had a whole offseason to prepare. You are fully healthy now. You're still that Deshaun Watson we thought from the Texans, but clearly that's not the case because he hasn't done anything. I think it was like 6 of 18 at one point. Now, don't get me wrong, the Cowboys defense is really good and it is week 1, but we saw this last year with Deshaun Watson. I mean, this is a guy that was a top 5 QB at one point. Maybe the injury maybe it's up here, because we know Deshaun Watson is still skilled. He's athletic. He's still talented. Either he just completely fell off after the whole allegation stuff, or he just never came back correctly from the injuries that he suffered. I don't know, but the question is going to have to be brought up with Deshaun Watson at some point. If he keeps playing like this, he's going to have to be benched. Jameis Winston's going to be waiting in the wings to be QB1, because if he keeps playing like this, especially in this division, your division, the AFC North, how are you going to start him? So I'm glad you brought that up, though. I like that Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson, because I was a Baker Mayfield hater. Everyone was. I mean, everyone thought he was done. He was becoming a journeyman. He couldn't find a home. He was a backup. This, that. He had the attitude, and now he's ripping it up in Tampa.
Yeah, Tampa loves him. I love Baker.
I know you do.
He's really entertaining. And he's fun to root for.
He had 4 touchdowns on Sunday, which leads the NFL from week 1 with 4 incompletions. I mean, he lit it up.
lit it up.
I mean, the Bucs are fun. They're fun. They have that energy, that swagger. Did you see that Mike Evans touchdown? Oh my gosh, that was insane. How he caught it.
So insane. He's ridiculous. Like ridiculous. Yeah. I can't believe I let Mike Evans slip in freaking fantasy. I'm pissed.
Mike Evans, first ballot NFL Hall of Famer?
100%.
Yeah, he's got 10 straight years of 1,000 yards consecutive years with
he's got so
yards.
Many records, it's insane.
Yeah, Super Bowl.
The only thing that's going to hold him back, but I mean, he's got the Super Bowl.
He does.
The only thing that's going to hold him back is like playing for a small market team. I feel like he was very
that's true. That's true.
Not having a good great quarterback. Like you look at the great wide receivers, and a lot of them had a great quarterback that they were playing with. And how many different quarterbacks has Mike Evans played for?
Mike Glennon, Jameis Winston, Baker Mayfield, Tom Brady. That's Brady. 4. He's played with at least 4 or 5 QBs for sure.
Yeah, and like it just nothing's really stuck for the Bucs. He's never really been a part of it except for when they went to the Tom Brady era. So I think he's a Hall of Famer, but it's all vanity metrics really.
Yeah.
At this point, like he's got all the stats for sure.
100%. But yeah, I mean, like I said,
being first ballot is really hard.
Very hard. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's unfortunate there's a first ballot. There's an NFL guy that should be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he wasn't, he couldn't keep his act together. Antonio Brown. I mean, he's locked to be, if he would be able to keep his head out of his tail. But, it's weird because the NFL will punish him for that. But there's been other situations where other guys, I'm sure, have gotten in for, like Lawrence Taylor got in. He's had a bunch of off the field stuff and he got it. So it's like, I know Antonio Brown, he had his stuff and it's never acceptable. It's inexcusable what he did, but I wish they would judge him off of his play, because I'll bring this back up. Bill Belichick and the Patriots cheated and he's getting in the Hall of Fame and he's he's glorified as this almighty coach. Antonio Brown is one of the greatest receivers in NFL history. Now, I'm not condoning Antonio Brown's behavior, don't get me wrong, but he should be in the NFL Hall of Fame. If you're going to let other guys in the Hall of Fame for other things as well, then he should be in too. You got to judge him off of his play.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys that maybe should be in the Hall.
It's very hard.
Terrell Owens?
Not in.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if Ochocinco was ever going to get in, but like,
I don't think so.
If he was not even his attitude certainly is going to stop him from doing.
Yes. So. T.O.'s another guy.
Yeah.
The NFL looks at that heavily, but let's flip back here to week 1. So we had the Eagles and the Packers game. The Eagles ended up winning 34-29. Unfortunately for Packers fans, Jordan Love got hurt. He's out for 3 to 6 weeks with an MCL injury. Saquon Barkley.
Who's their backup?
Malik Willis. Saquon Barkley took off 3 total touchdowns. I'm going to sit here and say this. Eagles fans are not going to like this. I've said this before. I think Jalen Hurts is overrated. I really do. I mean, they have such a great team around him that he does, as long as he doesn't make any mistakes, it's almost like the Brock Purdy situation. Brock Purdy is a game manager. Yes, I understand he makes those throws, but he doesn't have to make these miraculous plays. It's just like Tua for the Dolphins. But sticking here on Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, I still think Jalen Hurts is overrated. They have such a good team around him. He doesn't have to make any mistakes. And then you go and add Saquon Barkley in the offseason, $16-17 million a year. That takes the pressure off Jalen Hurts. Their offensive line is still good. Yes, they lost Jason Kelce. They picked up some other guys on defense. I don't think Jalen Hurts is as good as he's put out to be. No, he's not worth the money. But like I said, that at this point, it's like a broken record. That's what the way the market is.
Joe, I'm just thinking about the Bengals game again.
Mm-hmm.
Think those 2 fumbles don't happen.
You just think if the Patriots actually can score a real touchdown with a real QB.
Right. Like if those 2 fumbles don't happen, the game's 24-10, and we're talking about the Bengals being a contender.
And now everyone's ripping Joe Burrow. He's overrated.
Joe Burrow threw 20 for 29. Like he had a fine, or 21 for 29. Like you had a fine game.
You got to give Christian Gonzalez credit on Jamar Chase though. He locked him up. Christian Gonzalez is an absolute dog, but I mean he is really good. And I don't think
Jamar Chase still averaged 10 yards of reception.
But if you do look at Chris Gonzalez played a really good game on him. Anyways,
you
didn't have T Higgins either.
If the Bengals win 24-10, it's a whole different story.
Yeah. Did you? This is a high flying play for you, Anthony Richardson. Did you see that touchdown throw, that 60-yarder? Oh my gosh, off of his back foot and just launched it to Alec Pierce. He's special, man. As long as Anthony Richardson can stay healthy. I've had this conversation before. If Anthony Richardson can stay healthy, I think the Colts could sneak in as a wild card. If he can stay healthy. I know they lost, obviously, to the Texans, but, I mean, as long as he can stay healthy, because the Colts are a fun team.
Loss.
Yeah, I mean, at 27 points, too. I mean,
Richardson had 9 for 19, though. Holy shit.
He had, 80 rushing yards, though? 660, 70? Yeah, something like that.
He had more yards than Joe Burrow with only 9 completions.
Yeah, like I said, as long as he can stay healthy, they'll be fun to watch. But this one here, Bills-Cardinals. Bills ended up winning 34-28. It came down to the end. Kyler Murray missed Marvin Harrison Jr. He was wide open on the other side of the field. I don't know if you saw that. Kyler kind of rolled out, scrambled back around, and missed Marvin Harrison.
Wide. Dude, Joe Mixon had 30 carries.
Yeah, for like 130 yards or something.
160 yards.
Yeah.
And a touchdown.
Yeah.
30 carries is crazy.
Yeah, I believe it.
That's insane.
That's what Le'Veon Bell used to get for the Steelers when he played. That's what McCaffrey usually gets. McCaffrey was out. I know you have him in fantasy.
Sad.
We got to flip to the Saints and the Panthers real quick. I mean, are the Panthers a high school team or am I missing something? I'm serious. I really think I've had this conversation with more people now, and they're starting to agree with me. I think the 2018 Alabama team, if you pull up that roster, I think they would beat this Panthers team. Go look at that Panthers team. Go look at that Alabama team.
You can't believe this.
Yes, you can. 100%.
Do you understand that this is the
Go look at that roster and tell me.
Of the All-Stars of the last 10 years of NCAA college football are
now
on this team, right?
Go pull up that roster and tell me they wouldn't compete with them. Go pull up that roster.
They won't.
Go look it up. You can't even name one player from that team. When you see that
Alabama.
Yep, when you see that roster, you might think different.
No, I won't. It's a college team, Joe.
It doesn't matter. They're one of the greatest teams ever assembled.
Okay, but Joey,
it doesn't matter. They're world-class athletes.
You know no one agrees with you on that.
Yes, they do. Actually, I had 3 people agree with me. People agree with me.
Daniel Wright at defensive back.
Okay,
Christopher Allen at linebacker. He hasn't done much in the NFL. Savion Smith. He's getting cooked. Shaheem Carter. I've never heard of these people. Ronnie Clark.
He was really good at Alabama.
Braxton Barker. Ayabi Anoma. Okay. Xavier Williams. Ali Cajo. Skylar DeLong is the punter.
Jerry Jeudy, Patrick Surtain, Jalen Hurts. You're missing like a bunch of guys.
Yeah, but what you're trying to say is that if you assembled that
Jerry
team
Jeudy,
on an NFL team,
Devontae Smith, Trevon Diggs, Josh Jacobs, yeah, it was like, dude, this team.
So that's
Ruggs,
5 players. You can't win an NFL game with 5 players.
I'm naming Xavier McKinney's on there. He's in the NFL now.
Right, he's in the NFL.
Jalen Waddle.
Do you know how many NFL players the Panthers have?
Najee Harris.
How many NFL players do the Panthers have?
53.
How many NFL players does that Alabama roster have?
At least 15, easily. Brian Robinson's on there.
So he's 15
Ford,
NFL players
Mac
or
Wilson,
53 NFL players. What are you gonna take?
Dylan Moses, Anthony Jennings, Damian Harris. Dude, this team was stacked.
Yes, it was stacked. But there's 15 NFL players.
Yeah, it doesn't mean all those guys are good.
Right. So those 15 NFL players might not even be very good.
There might be even more than 15, actually. I'm just giving you a number. Dude, this team was stacked.
Right. I agree. It was a stacked college football team, but it's not 53 NFL players.
But it's the best conference in college football. All of those guys in the SEC go to the NFL, and most of them do very, very well. And just
of them? You just said only 15 of them.
I said all of the SEC. That's why the SEC is the best conference in college football. That's the reason why that all of those players get drafted very high and they make crazy contracts.
And
they're the best at their position.
Only 10 or 15 got drafted.
There was probably more than 10 or 15.
We'll find out.
Raekwon Davis, he got drafted. He's in the NFL now. Even minus that 2018 Alabama team, the 2019 LSU team was just as good as them and could same thing. You were trying to tell me that Joe Burrow from that 2019 LSU team couldn't do well against this Panthers team? he couldn't do well?
No, his offensive line got shredded.
It
literally
doesn't
destroyed.
It doesn't matter. You're telling me Joe Burrow isn't going to sit there and have a good game against this Panthers team with Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Clyde Edwards-Helaire? What?
They're college football players, dude.
It doesn't matter.
How can he throw the ball if his offensive line is sitting on their ass?
You're making that up. It's not going to happen every single play. These are world-class athletes. The SEC is literally the best conference in college football.
You know what's better than the SEC? Every single NFL team.
No. You act like these SEC guys are like plumbers.
Anyone in here with some sanity? Have you ever posed this question to somebody in real life that's agreed with you?
Yes, I have.
Who?
I asked somebody last weekend. He agreed with me. There's actually people online that agree with me. I don't fucking remember his name.
There's somebody online that will tell you that like anything.
I met somebody in person and he agreed with me. Uh-oh.
Where did you meet him? The psych ward?
No, I met him in person.
At the psych ward?
No, Max, you say stupid shit. I don't call you out for it like that. Just because somebody has an opinion.
I don't double down on it.
I do. Because you don't understand. You don't watch the SEC like I do. You don't watch the NFL like I do. It's not like it's some outlandish thing. Like it's not some crazy thing. No, it's not.
Joey, put this
it's
online.
Not.
I don't. If it,
I have,
and no one agrees with you.
No, there's people that do in the comments. They go, "Oh, that 2019 LSU team could give them a run for their money." I bet you they could.
They could not win an NFL game.
Yes, they could. I bet you that.
Then why isn't everyone on that roster in the NFL then?
That's not how that works.
Right, because they're not NFL caliber players.
That's not true. That is not true.
So they just didn't get drafted because they were unlucky?
I never said every single player on that team is NFL worthy, but you act like the Panthers, this Panthers team is some like God squad, and you act like this Alabama team from 2018 is like the worst thing ever. You sit here and say like, "Oh, this."
I don't. I say
because you discredit. No, yeah, but you treat it like it's some like just random college team. It's not.
It's not.
They're one of the greatest teams ever assembled.
Right.
And they could compete with the worst NFL team. You're trying to sit here and tell me the 0-16 Browns. Yes, they could. Yes, they could.
No.
Yes, they could. Go look at their rosters. No. You don't watch football like I do, so you're never going to understand it. It's very simple.
Okay, but you're going to say that to everyone that comments that says you're wrong?
No, I'm going to disagree with them. Because you sit here and act like that Panthers team would win like 60-0. That wouldn't happen.
They probably would.
No, they would not. No, they would not. Absolutely not.
They have assembled a roster of the greatest college football players of the last 10 years.
Yep.
Right?
Okay.
And then they're going to play against one roster that only has 10 NFL caliber guys. And they've got 53.
You just said they would assemble the greatest college football team for the past 10 years, and you're trying to tell me
the Panthers have assembled a segment of the greatest college football players.
I don't agree with that.
Of the last 10 years. How do you think the draft works? What do they pick? Bad college football players?
Some guys aren't NFL eligible that get drafted. They may be better than what they're put out to be, but they're not as good when they officially play in the NFL. You could draft some guy from Toledo in the 4th round. He could absolutely suck. You're going to tell me he's better than the starting tackle at Alabama? You're going to tell me he's better than Devontae Smith? You're going to tell me he's better than Jalen Waddle? No, he's not.
No, I'm not saying he's maybe better than Jalen Waddle individually. I'm just saying when you have a college level
I got you. Okay.
Versus Jadeveon Clowney, what is the quarterback going to do when Jadeveon Clowney's coming at him 400 miles an hour?
What about when this guy's an all-pro tackle?
But he's not.
But he is, because he's been ranked and he's been ready for the draft for 3 years.
Ooh, like the
Alabama guy. Yeah. What if he's an all-pro guy and he's 6'8" and he's 360?
We have the roster. Is he?
Pick one.
Who was he?
Pick one. At the time, there's plenty of guys on here. You're trying to tell me that a 6'8", 380-pound guy in Alabama who's a 5-star recruit, who's been there for 3 years, he can't compete with somebody in the NFL who just got drafted?
No.
That's delusional. That's worse than what I said.
Why didn't he get drafted then?
Who? What guy? He did.
Offensive lineman.
That guy went in the 1st round.
Who?
Alex Leatherwood.
Okay, what about the other
2018? Oh, look at the size on these guys.
There's
He's 6'6", 304. Yeah, but you act like they're going to get thrown over like rag dolls. They're not. They're grown men.
Did you see what Jadeveon Clowney did to the average college football player when he was in college?
Yeah, these Alabama guys aren't average college football players. They're not. There's a reason why they go to Alabama. They're not just random college football players. You act like these guys went to like University of like Mississippi State or just some random college program. They didn't.
Okay. If you put a poll out and ask if the 2018 Alabama football team could beat the 0-16 Browns, how many people do you think, what percent of people do you think would say yes?
I think that, well, first of all, I think that 30% of people would agree with me. At least 30.
Okay.
But you sit here and act like that that 0-16 Browns team would win like 70-0. That's insane. That's absolutely it. No, they wouldn't.
Do you understand how the draft works? You pick the cream of the crop of college
Obviously,
football players.
Max, you don't have to try to act. You don't have to try to act like I'm less intelligent than you. I have a 4-year degree, just like you.
You're sounding less intelligent than me.
I'm not. I have a 4-year degree, just like you.
Speaking.
No, I'm not. You don't even understand how the draft works. Just because you get drafted doesn't mean you're some hero guy. And there's guys get drafted in the 6th round who aren't as good as guys that get. What? Tom Brady went the last pick in the draft. Oh my gosh! Wow, the draft means so much, right?
Well, there's reasons that undrafted free agents aren't dominating the NFL. But yeah, there's outliers.
It happens. Antonio Brown is a 6th round pick.
Certainly happens, but
there's a lot of guys that get drafted later and that do well.
Yeah, they're better. So would you say they're better than every college football player?
I wouldn't say that. No. You're trying to tell me some undrafted guy is better than that guy at Alabama who's a 5-star?
No, I'm not saying one-on-one these players are better. I'm saying that you cannot assemble an NFL caliber squad with 18-year-olds that are in college.
Never said they were. They're not. Some of these guys aren't 18. Some of these guys are 21, 22.
But some of them are not going to make it to the NFL.
And some of these guys in the NFL are 21, 22, and these guys are 19. They're not like 40-year-old men.
So you think, you take a team with 10 NFL players on it.
Okay.
And then you take a team with 53 NFL players on it, and you think this 10 NFL player team wins.
Why is it just 10 NFL players?
Because that's what the Bama squad had.
Okay. So you think they would, I think they would come close, yeah.
Okay.
But just because there's 53 guys on an NFL roster doesn't mean they're these all-star, they're these greatest things since sliced bread. There's guys in the NFL that are at tackle that shouldn't even be playing. At guard, there's plenty of guys in the NFL that shouldn't be starting at their position. They're there.
And you would give it to these Alabama guys that never even got a chance at?
Well, some of them have. A lot of them have. Because you sit here and act like you discredit these Alabama guys like they're like these horrible players. Oh,
I discredit a team of 10 NFL ranked guys versus 53 NFL ranked guys.
Because you're making it way too analytical.
It's a team game, not a one guy game.
Yes, exactly. But you act like these Alabama and Georgia guys are like these plumbers and bums.
No. I'm saying that
basically
even if you have 10 really good guys, like look at the Bengals. They have 10 really good players, but they still lose. But there could be more than 10. How many are there? We have a list of them.
Just because there's only 10 that got drafted doesn't mean they're not NFL caliber. There was other guys in college that were better than them, but they could still compete. Like you can't sit here and discredit like these Alabama guys like these are just like, nah, they're the worst guys in the world. They have no talent.
I don't think you're hearing me right. I'm saying that even though they do have really good players, there's only 10 of them. There's 53 really good players on the Panthers.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is these Alabama guys, your offense and defense, they're not just random guys. Or Georgia, for example. That's what I'm saying. So, but for you to sit here and say they would win, they'd blow them out 70-0. That's crazy.
Is it?
I think it is. I'll listen. Okay, I'm not going to say they're not like they wouldn't win. Yeah, they're the favorite for sure. But to sit here and say they'd win 70-0 when they have talent on both sides of the ball, like just up the yin yang is crazy. I understand where you're coming from, the 10 versus 53. I get that part, but to sit here and go, yeah, man, that Georgia team, they'd lose 80-0 to the 0-16 Browns. What?
That's everyone on that 0-16 Browns was a star at their position in college football.
Doesn't mean they're better. Just because they're a star at their position doesn't mean that they're not their athletes compared to the guys at Georgia and Alabama can't compete with them. There's been situations in the past where teams have beat other teams and they haven't been as talented or they haven't been as skilled. It's happened in the past. It's not like it's some crazy thing where it's like, well, man, that team was so good out there. They dominated them that game. The underdogs, they really played well and they beat them. It happens. It's not like it's.
I think there's a reason that most of the world would disagree with you, but
that's okay. A lot of people agree to disagree in this world.
Yeah. But I wouldn't want to go around flaunting that I'm wrong everywhere I go,
There's plenty of things I could say you're wrong. I don't flaunt to the world that you're wrong.
But I'm not in this situation.
Maybe that's your opinion. There's never going to be a right or wrong answer. So until it's proven, it'll never happen. So there's no facts. There's no facts. So you can't sit here and go, you're absolutely wrong. It's my opinion. It's your opinion.
Fair enough.
So, hey. All right. Anyways, Daniel Jones. Did you see that game? 28-6 they lost. Minnesota Vikings. I don't know what is up with Daniel Jones. I can't believe it. I don't get it.
I don't understand how the Giants paid him. It's the craziest thing ever. It's did they think that, first of all, they reached to draft him.
Yeah.
And then they're reaching to pay him.
Yep.
And they're just not only did they make a bad decision to start with, they then doubled down on that bad decision.
Yep.
For what?
What do you mean? Say that again?
They made the bad decision to start with by drafting him, and then they doubled down on it. It didn't work.
I agree. And you paid him too.
He had that. What was it? 2 years ago that the Giants were after Dable took over. Was that last year or this year?
So it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, Dable had that. They had that good year, and they beat the Vikings in the playoffs in the wild card round. And then that's when everyone was like, "Oh, Daniel Jones looked really good." And then that's when the Giants paid him in that offseason, and he hasn't looked good since. Now, obviously, he tore his ACL last year, but he has been terrible. I think the Giants, they set themselves back even further when they paid him because they were looking they were the Giants, maybe they could compete for a wild card or they could be somewhat relevant in the 500 pack. They look like arguably the worst team in the NFL next to the Panthers. I don't understand. I think the Daniel Jones experiment is over in New York. I think you're going to have to ride this season out. And Joe Shane and Brian Dable might actually get fired because if this continues as this keeps up here, you were the one that paid for Daniel Jones and you vouched for him saying he's our quarterback going forward. The Giants need a new quarterback coming up for next year. They'll be in the draft for sure because there's no way he's the starter next year. You can't, especially in the New York media. He has been lit up like a Christmas tree. Fans were burning his jersey. I think the Daniel Jones experiment is over in New York.
Yeah.
Did you know Daniel Jones has more pick six than touchdown passes since signing his $160 million deal?
That's crazy. I saw that. That is sad.
I can't believe it. I feel for Giants fans because, man, they haven't been good since the Super Bowls. They weren't amazing then, but they have had no luck. You don't want to sign Saquon Barkley. He goes to your division rival, the Eagles, and he absolutely balls out in week one, and you don't want to pay him, and you pay Daniel Jones. And then you go and pay Brian Burns. You trade for Brian Burns. You give him basically $30 million a year, and you draft Malik Neighbors. Oh man, I would hate to be a Giants fan right now. They look like arguably the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, but Xavier Legette.
He's on the Panthers.
Never mind. Sorry, off topic.
What about him?
Looking at the Panthers.
Oh. But yeah, did I what?
Nothing, sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. How about that Lions-Rams game, 26-20 in overtime? The Lions absolutely dominated with their offensive line, but man, Stafford does not go away. The Cup connection was there. I know Puka Nacua got hurt. You have him in fantasy, don't you?
Yeah. No, I had him last year. I drafted him last year. Everyone should know that, by the way.
Cup.
But Cup.
He's back.
I know. I fucking so good. Cooper Kupp too. I was like, how are we letting Cooper Kupp like just fall down the draft order like this?
Cooper Kupp is
passed on him too.
Is Cooper Kupp a first ballot Hall of Famer?
No shot.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I mean, he's had. How many really good seasons has he had? 4.
He's got. I think now he's up to 7,500 yards. I think all time. I had this conversation with Alex Barton when he came back on the podcast a month ago. But he does have the Triple Crown. He's got a Super Bowl MVP. He's got a Super Bowl. He makes a case if he can hit 10,000 yards. I mean, he probably is going to hit 10,000 yards. I think he's got what is he at 7,800 now? 75.
Stats. Pro Football Reference. 7,100 yards.
Yeah, he'll probably get 10,000.
I mean, I don't know. He's 31, dude. He'd have to play another.
But he's probably going to have 1,000 yards this year, so that put him at 8.
He'd have to play another 3 years playing really high level football.
He's close.
I mean, so like
he might be close. He might be close.
He has yards from scrimmage, receiving yards.
Oh, yeah.
Receiving yards. He has 2 1,000-yard seasons.
Yeah, but he had that Triple Crown year too. But
if Mike Evans isn't a Hall of Famer, then he's definitely not.
Mike Evans is getting in, especially after that ring and then the 10 years in a row with 1,000 yards consecutive. He's definitely going to get 10 consecutive seasons with 1,000 yards. Mike Evans will definitely get.
Oh my God, his Triple Crown year 1,900 yards is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Remember it was if he was going to break, or well, actually no, that was Tyreek Hill if he was going to break Calvin Johnson's record, but then he got hurt for 1 game, I think it was, and then they added the extra game, so people didn't take it as But yeah, Cooper Kupp's Triple Crown year was ridiculous, and he won the Super Bowl MVP in that year, and won the Super Bowl. But I mean, the Stafford Goff game was great. I mean, Stafford played really well. Goff played pretty good. I mean, the Lions are the better team, but it was a great game overall. I still don't like the NFL overtime rule. I know they changed it for the postseason, but I still think each team in the NFL should get a chance at possessing the ball. I like the Lions, they went down and they scored the touchdown. I think that the NFL should give both teams an opportunity. If you're going to do that in the postseason, you should be able to do that in the regular season as well. What do you think?
I think that I agree, but I think the NFL's best interest is to have their players play the least amount of football as possible so they don't get injured. So, if the game's going to keep going, injuries are going to keep going up, like, they want the game to be over. Yep. So, I could see why they don't do it in the regular season.
Yep. Yeah, I could totally say that. I know they changed it for the postseason because of the Chiefs and the Bills a few years ago, but that was a great game. And then the last game of the Week 1 slate was the Jets and the Niners. Aaron Rodgers finally made his return. It was good to see. I thought Rodgers played pretty good. I mean, I saw he had some flashy throws. I mean, he didn't play too bad, but I think the Jets I still think they're not a contender because their offensive line still isn't very good. Saleh said that they'll clean up their defense, but I didn't see much with their offensive line, and I think that's their biggest concern. They've got 2 old tackles in Morgan Moses and Tyron Smith, and Tyron Smith was getting blown off the ball. I mean, Joey Bosa and Leonard Floyd were running circles around him. Remember Tyron Smith on the Cowboys all those years. And I do think if the Jets don't make the playoffs and they lay an egg this year, I think Rodgers will hang it up. Because at that point, what else would I have left to prove? I'm just playing for, I mean, of course he's playing for a Super Bowl, but I think he has to realistically sit there, and I think he knows that with this team, I don't see it. Not with that offensive line. I still think they're a bit away, and their defensive line yesterday looked terrible too. But
yeah, I don't know why
I don't
Rodgers
think
is even playing right now as it is. Like,
I mean, he showed flashes last night, but you know what? He could get the complete opposite of Tom Brady, where Brady won the Super Bowl there. Obviously, Brady's last year in Tampa wasn't the greatest, but Brady played the part for those few years in Tampa. Whereas Rodgers, it could be the total opposite. It could be like goes to the Jets and goes to die. I don't know. I mean, I know it's Week 1, but the division doesn't get any easier. The schedule doesn't get any easier. Oof. That's the thing with him. But yeah, I mean, NFL Week 1, wrap that up. There's some good Week 2 games coming up here. I mean, you got the Bills and the Dolphins Thursday night. That'll be a good one. Your game, the Bengals and the Chiefs. I think really those
are that game on?
The Bengals and the Chiefs is the 4:25 game.
Nice. I think I might work on Sunday, which sucks.
Falcons, they got blitzed by the Steelers. Kirk Cousins looked terrible. Oh my goodness. But anyways,
work until 1:30. Sweet.
Oh yeah, let's briefly talk some college football here. We'll do a little WNBA and then we'll wrap up. But how about this here, Florida? Because you talked about this earlier in the show with Billy Napier, DJ Lagway, and Graham Mertz. If Florida was smart with Billy Napier, he would start DJ Lagway. You can't sit there and tell me that DJ Lagway versus Graham Mertz, he's put side by side, you've seen him in practice, DJ Lagway isn't better than Graham Mertz. I don't care what Mertz did. He's a veteran. He's this, that. We want to use 2 QBs. DJ Lagway is better. He can save your season. Now, I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be, in a competitive bowl game. But to be somewhat competitive, DJ Lagway gives you that opportunity. He just passed for the most yards last week by a freshman quarterback in Florida history, let alone he just passed for the most yards last weekend in an FBS game. I don't care if it's Samford. I don't care if it's whatever. It doesn't matter. DJ Lagway is better than Graham Mertz. I don't know if you saw, but Billy Napier said, we're going to use 2 QBs this weekend. If it's going to completely backfire on him, because what's going to happen is if he thinks he's going to have the Tim Tebow, Chris Leak situation, it's not like that. This team is not as talented as those Florida teams were back then. DJ Lagway is the guy. He should be the guy going forward, and he's going to screw this up. This two QB set thing never works. It kills one quarterback's confidence compared to the other. And now we have to sit here this weekend and we have to go through this Napier saga with circus with Lagway and Napier. I think it's stupid. I think it's utterly dumb. You start one guy and the other guy sits. Quarterback competition, just like how Alabama was with Tua and Jalen Hurts, just like how this situation here transpired recently with Michigan with Alex Orji and the kid, I forget his name, is it Dylan Warren from Michigan? Warren outperformed Orji, and he's the starter. Simple as that, right? It's how it should be. QB1, QB2. That's it. I don't know. I think it's stupid, but I guess it is what it is. You're going to love this one here, though. Colorado got dominated against Nebraska. Is the Deion experiment in Colorado over? Is this all just for show? Is this just to promote your son? Because it's looking that way. From what we're seeing so far, Deion Sanders with our offensive line. He's throwing the offensive line under the bus again. They underperformed again. I think the Colorado Deion experiment is over. They went 4-8 last year.
That USC game last year that they were neck and neck.
Yeah,
that was a shootout.
Yep.
And then nothing happened after that. They've just been disappointment after disappointment.
So when Shedeur leaves, does Deion leave? I know he still has the other kid Shiloh there, but does he leave or does he stay? What's going to happen? Does the athletic director sit there and go?
He was coaching before Shedeur was in college, so I don't know.
Does he stay at Colorado?
Who knows?
I don't know.
Does he need to keep coaching? Who knows? I mean, does Colorado want him? If he's gonna
bring in revenue and he's gonna bring in NIL, then that athletic director will keep him because he's put them on the map officially. So yeah, I would probably say he would probably keep him. But does Deion want to stay there, or is it just for? Is it all for promoting your son? Because do you really care about Colorado? Because I don't know. That's just how I feel. We haven't seen anything. They were supposed to be better this year. I don't know. He officially put Colorado on the map, but from what I've seen, it just looks like a promotion show. So, anyways, Angel Reese is officially out for the year with a wrist surgery. She is done. So I think you can close the WNBA Rookie of the Year. Caitlin Clark is the Rookie of the Year. And like I said, she's put herself in the WNBA MVP conversation. She's not going to win it, of course. But through week 11, she leads the WNBA in assists. Isn't that insane for a rookie? 306? It's crazy. The Fever went 13-27 last year. So they're 7-1 since the Olympic break, and they're 19-17 this season. They started off 1-8.
Shit.
It's crazy what she's been able to do. And of course, to her other teammates, Aaliyah Boston, she's been really good down the stretch here. Kelsey Mitchell's been superb. She's been really, really good. Lexi Hull off the bench has been good. I mean, they've played really well these past few weeks here. I'm shocked.
I'll have to take your word for it, Joe.
She becomes the only rookie in WNBA history to record 2 triple-doubles.
It's insane.
Insane. How did you see this, though? Kendrick Lamar is going to be performing in the halftime show. What did you thought? What do you think?
That's cool. Kendrick's unbelievable.
You a Kendrick fan?
It's going to be awesome. Yeah.
I don't know. I was like, I didn't even know who they were going to give. I'm surprised they announced it. I mean, I guess it's not really that late, but usually, like, don't they like announce it like a year in advance?
Don't you think Taylor Swift should really be performing?
Her fans were upset, but Taylor Swift's never gonna perform the halftime show. She's got so much money, and the NFL could never afford to pay her. Why would she do the halftime show? I don't think it would make any sense.
Yeah.
I don't see.
Wait, do they pay the halftime artist?
No, they don't pay them. My apologies. They don't pay them. I forgot. But she would never do it. She doesn't need the publicity.
Right.
I don't see why she would ever do it. No, you're right. Because we had that conversation last year because Usher didn't get paid. Who did it? Who was it? Bruno Mars did it. I mean, there's been a bunch of them, but no, that's weird that they don't get paid. You would think they would, but I don't think Kendrick Lamar needs. I don't think they really need the money, but it's the notoriety more than anything. Yeah.
How many times their songs get streamed after the Super Bowl?
With Apple Music and Spotify, they do this whole playlist. Apple Music does this whole playlist for them afterwards, and they put their like essential or their top tracks. Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think that really I think that does it for us. What do you think?
Let's wrap it, Joe.
Alrighty, episode 118 in the books. Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. Max, plug the socials for you too.
Max Adams on YouTube, Max Adams on Instagram.
We will see you guys next week. As always, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We will see you guys next week.